Angel brought a collection of books and paid $124.20, including sales tax. The sales tax was 8%. How much was the price of the collection of books before taxes? In order to answer this question, we need to use the percent equation, which is part equals percent times whole. Even though we need to use the percent equation to solve this problem, this is not like the typical problems we've been going over. And it's different because here it gives us the $124.20, and that's including the sales tax. So normally we just get the part. This is not just the part by itself. This is actually the part and the whole combined. Because when we find the 8% sales tax, what we have to do is add that 8% to the original price to get what the total price is after sales tax. So this is slightly different. Even though the $124.20 is the part and the whole combined, we're still going to use that as our part because it's not the original amount. So that will be considered our part. Now what we have to do is figure out the percentage form of that $124.20. And what we can think of is when you add sales tax to something, you're not only paying the original price, you're paying an additional amount. So this $124.20 represents the original cost, which we know is 100%. So that is the whole. The whole is the original cost, which is 100%, plus the sales tax, which is 8%, or that is the part. So the $124.20 does not represent 100% or does not represent 8%. It actually represents 108%. So whatever the $124.20, whatever the part represents, we have to make sure that percentage is equivalent to what the part is. So we need to use 108% as our percentage instead of 100 or just 8. And to write that as a decimal is 1 800ths. And our whole is unknown. That's what we're trying to figure out. So I'm going to isolate the variable by dividing 1 800ths on both sides of the equal sign to maintain equivalency. When I divide that, I'm left with W equals 115. So what this lets me know is our whole, or the original price of the collection of books before taxes, is $115. In order to solve this problem, we will use the simple interest formula, which is interest equals the principal times the rate times the time. The interest in this case is unknown, and we know we're looking for the interest because the question says how much interest will she get in 2 years. So interest is unknown, and I'll use I for interest. My principal is the initial amount deposited. So the initial amount deposited was $90. Our rate here, it is the percentage rate. And the percentage rate annually, that just means yearly, because sometimes you can get interest by month. But this is letting us know that it's 3% every year. So our rate, we need to make sure we use the decimal form of the percentage, which will be 300ths. And our time, T, is always in years. So here it lets us know she kept the money in her bank for 2 years. So I'll go ahead and use 2 for my time. Now I have to go ahead and multiply everything. 90 times 300ths is 2 7/10. And I have to make sure I multiply that by 2. When I multiply that by 2, I get 5 4/10. So I have to make sure I put this in a complete sentence. If Mia started with $90 in a savings account and earns 3% annually, she will earn $5.40 interest after 2 years. Part A. Mark deposited $30,000 for 6 years at a rate of 5% simple interest. Find the amount of interest Mark earned after 6 years. We need to make sure we use the simple interest formula to help us solve this problem. The simple interest formula is interest equals the principal times the rate times the time. The interest is the dollar amount earned. In this case, we don't know what the interest is. That's what we're looking for, because it says find the amount of interest Mark earned after 6 years. So the interest is unknown, and I'll use I. Our principal is the initial deposit, which is $30,000. Our rate is the percentage rate, and that is 5%. And make sure you use the decimal form of the percentage. The time T is in years, and it says after 6 years. So we'll use 6 as our years. Now we have to go ahead and multiply all the numbers. 30,000 times 500 times 6 is 9,000. If Mark deposited $30,000 and has a 5% simple interest, he will earn $9,000 interest after 6 years. Part B. Mark deposited $30,000 for 6 years at a rate of 5% simple interest. If Mark closes his account after the 6 years, how much money will he have total? So we will have the same work. There's 2 parts. We found out that the interest earned at the end of the 6 years was $9,000. In order to figure out part B, we have to use the balance formula because that's what we're looking for, the balance. The balance is equal to the principal plus the interest. The principal was $30,000. The interest we found out was $9,000. So when we add that together, the balance is $39,000. If Mark closes his account after the 6 years, he will have a balance of $39,000. Joe earns a 5% commission for all the cars he sells. If Joe receives $6,250 in commission this year, what is the dollar amount of his sales? When we are working with commission problems, the part is the amount of commission. So if we look here, it said if Joe receives $6,250 in commission, that lets us know the commission is $6,250. So that is our part. Our percent is 5%, and remember to always change your percent to decimal form when you're substituting it into your equation. Our whole is unknown, and that will represent the amount of sales. So now we have to go ahead and solve for our variable. We have to isolate it by dividing 500s on both sides of the equal sign, since the variable and the 500 is connected through multiplication. The inverse of multiplication is division. So I'm left with W on this side, and 6,250 divided by 500s is 125,000. Joe's car sale total was $125,000. A salesperson is paid a base salary of $22,500 a year plus 13% commission on all sales. What are the sales needed to ensure the annual income is greater than $68,000? The first thing we have to do is figure out how much commission the salesperson should earn. Notice here, the salesperson has a base salary of $22,500. And the base salary is pretty much if the salesperson does not sell anything at all, they will still make $22,500. And a way we can figure out how much sales tax and the way we can figure out how much commission they should earn to get $68,000, we can subtract the $68,000 and the base pay. When we subtract those two numbers, we are left with $45,500. And that $45,500 represents how much that salesperson should get in commission in order to make $68,000 that year. Now we can go ahead and use our percent equation. Remember, when you are working with commission problems, the amount of commission is the part. So that means the commission, or our part, is $45,500. Our percent is 13%, and we'll write that as a decimal, which is 1300ths. Our whole, it is unknown. We have to figure out how much the salesperson should sell to make $45,500. Now we need to go ahead and isolate the variable by dividing 1300ths on both sides of the equal sign to maintain equivalency. I'm left with W on this side, and on my left side, I have to divide $45,500 by 1300. And when I divide that, I get $350,000. The salesperson should sell $350,000 worth of merchandise. Joe is planning for retirement and wants to have an investment income of $2,000 a year. How much must he invest for 1 year at 5% interest? This is a simple interest problem. So we need to use the simple interest formula, which is interest equals principal times the rate times the time. Our interest will be $2,000 because it says Joe is planning for retirement and wants to have an interest income of $2,000 a year. So he would like to earn $2,000 a year. Our principal, that is unknown. It says how much must he invest for 1 year at 5% interest. So the principal is unknown, and I'll just use P. Our rate is 5%, and remember to represent your rate as a decimal. So that's 500ths. Our time is 1 because we're trying to earn $2,000 each year, or for 1 year. So now I need to go ahead and simplify. When we simplify, we end up with 2,000 equals P times 500ths. Now we have to go ahead and isolate our variable by dividing 500ths on both sides of the equal sign. When I simplify, I'm left with P equals 40,000. Joe must invest $40,000 in order to earn $2,000 a year in interest. Jane buys a pack of socks on sale for $8 before tax. The sales tax is 9%. What is the total price Jane pays for the pack of socks? In order to solve this problem, we need to use the percent equation, which is part equals percent times whole. In this case, the part is the tax. We don't know what the tax is, so we're just going to use a variable. The percentage is 9%, and remember to represent that as a decimal. And the whole is 8. So now we have to go ahead and multiply and get 9% of $8 to figure out what the tax is. When we multiply, we get 7,200ths. That lets us know the tax is 72 cents. And remember what you have to do with taxes. You have to add the taxes to the original price. In order to figure out the total price, you have to add the sale price and the tax. If Jane buys a pair of socks for $8 at a 9% sales tax, Jane will pay $8.72 total.